Hi, welcome back to thelongestshir.com. I've been making that announcement, like the longestannouncement.com. But we're getting in the later hours. We're almost there to hour 18. We have this shir, which is the topic is Shabbos, the beauty of Shabbos. Afterwards, we have the 4 o'clock shir, which is the nature of machlokes in Judaism. How to understand that you could have two opinions or multiple opinions, how that works together, understanding in Jewish halacha and Jewish thought. And then we close up with why Torah. Why is it the biggest deal? Why is everything always about Torah? That's going to be the last shir, and we close with a big siyum with the students. These are the last few hours. So if anybody is able to make a donation to go online, we have an anonymous donor this hour who's matching every dollar that's given by anybody with another dollar. So dollar for dollar this hour to get us closer to our goal. And we're getting closer. Mitzvah Hashem, we should get there by the end of 6 o'clock, but let's get there earlier. It doesn't hurt. No one gets hurt by that. You could donate either online, longestshir.com, or by texting 41444. Text the word Torah, and we'll take it from there. All right. We got Shabbos to talk about. Let's talk. We haven't talked about Shabbos much. We sort of bypassed the subject. Okay. Make sure. When it comes to Shabbos, it's one of the centerpieces of Jewish observance. There's no doubt about that. Right up there with Torah, studying Torah. The mark, if you would ask somebody if they're an observant Jew, is ultimately Shabbos is the marker. Maybe Kashrus is a close second. But Shabbos is number one. And what I'd like to discuss is what itself is the uniqueness. What is the beauty of Shabbos? What is so special about Shabbos that we tend to associate as really the most significant part of an ongoing Jewish life cycle? So there's a few ways of looking at this. And some may resonate with some and others, and we'll see where it goes. The Gemara in Tanis 26b, Chafvav Amid Beis, says, Tzena ure'ena benos Tzion, b'melech Shlomo, ba'atra she'itra lo imo, b'yom chasanosu, u'b'yom simchas libo. Right? The pasuk says, Tzena ure'ena, go out and see the daughters of Tzion, go see the king Shlomo who is crowned on the day of his wedding. What's the day of his wedding? Matan Torah is considered the day of the Jewish wedding. What is the Yom Simchas Libo? What is the day of their happiness? That is the building of the Beis HaMikdash. The Beis HaMikdash is considered one of the great moments. When the temple was built, that was considered one of the apexes of Jewish creation. It was what we were all heading towards, a centralized location, the heartbeat of the Jewish people where everybody could turn to. That was considered Yom Simchas Libo. The Torah describes Shabbos as Yom Simchaschem. Yom Simchaschem, the day of your joy. If I could extrapolate what we just said about the Mishkan, the Beis HaMikdash, why is the Beis HaMikdash a time of great happiness? Because it's the time when God's Shekhinah came into the world. That's Shabbos. Shabbos is the day when the Jewish people unite, when the Jewish people are together with God, and they connect with God in the deepest of ways. I've been quoting a lot from Rav Avram Tzvi Kluger in the last few hours. I just got a new sefer, fresh off the boat from Israel, Yichud HaShabbos, the unity of Shabbos. And his approach is this first idea. Let me review. What's the first idea that we're sharing about why Shabbos? What's the big deal with Shabbos? The big deal with Shabbos is the time when we focus on our relationship with each other and God. Our relationship with each other and God. Says Rav Avram Tzvi Kluger. His sefer is called Yichud HaShabbos, which means the unity of Shabbos. It's the same idea. The idea of connecting. I was told that I would start losing control of my mouth in the later hours, and the eitzah I was given was to say the word Boston. Boston. I don't know why. Boston. All right. Here we go. Okay. So the idea of Shabbos is when we connect together, when we find a way to pull together us as a family unit, us and God. It's that, rendezvous is the word I'm looking for. Thank you. Rendezvous between us and God. That's the Yichud HaShabbos. So he explains the idea. Node metalmidei habal Shem Tov, ketzad hayaroin mal pneim b'chol erev Shabbos kodesh. It was known from the students of the Baal Shem Tov how their faces looked as the Shabbos came in. Yira gedola va'atzuma, a tremendous awe, was a reverence, not yira as in fear. A reverence was upon their face. V'hismichu al kach et divrei ha'arizal. And the Arizal made a connection. Shabbos is from the letters Boshet, Bet Shin Taf. Ki roy la'adam li'id boshesh mikdusha Shabbos. A person should be embarrassed by the sanctity of Shabbos. What does that mean? It's so awesome. It's like embarrassed. Am I ready for this? Am I actually ready for the Shabbos coming? Uke'edus hagon marsham. There's testimony from the marsham that he heard from the elders. Ki pam achas yeshvu talmidei harava kodesh Rabbi Aaron Lev of Premishlan. That he used to sit on Friday, Erev Shabbos, and would tell over Erev Shabbos all the wondrous things about the Baal Shem Tov. And his door opened, and suddenly, Ma lechem, and he said to them, Ma lechem l'saper mosab. What are you talking about the wondrous things he did, the Baal Shem Tov? Talk about what an amazing tzaddik he was. Ki b'chol yom Erev Shabbos, when midday came of Shabbos, he began. His heart began to flutter. V'chol me'av hayu mekashkeshim. His whole innards were clinging against each other because of the trepidation he had for Shabbos. Rav Meir of Premishlan says he used to hear that all the people would speak about stories of the Baal Shem Tov. He says, forget the stories. Talk about how he used to feel as Shabbos was coming. He goes, what is this awesome feeling? He says, you know what this awesome feeling of Shabbos is coming, is that it's the experience of communing between our people and God. The relationship between us and God. That's what the Kedusha Shabbos is all about. That's what the Kedusha Shabbos is all about. The Abu Draham is one of the earliest commentaries that we have on a siddur. The Abu Draham says, you know why we say Ataki Dashta, Boston? You know why we say Ataki Dashta on Shabbos night? Which means you have sanctified. Why do we say that? Because that is the Kedushin of a wedding. Ataki Dashta. Shabbos is the union, the communion. It's the moment we come up close to God. On Shabbos morning, we say, Yismach Moshe. Moshe rejoices. Why? Because it's now the celebration, the joy of the Chassan and Kala. And at Mincha, we say, Ata Echad, to reflect the unity achieved between the bride and the groom. Shabbos is one rendezvous of the couple meeting each other. That's what Shabbos is, the unity. Again, beautiful. We say Atah Kedashta Friday night, because that's the Kiddushin. We say Yismach Moshe Shabbos day, because that's the dancing. And then we say Ata Echad, because that's the unity that's been achieved at the end. You know, it's funny, the Regina reminds me of the Regina. The Regina says, why do we call the last meal of Shabbos, we call it Shalosh Shudas. That Yiddish phrase literally means, Yiddish version of Hebrew, literally means 3 meals. It's 1 meal. Why do we call it Shalosh Shudas? It's 1 meal. Why is it called 3 meals? So the proper Hebrew grammar is Su'udah Shlishit. Not Su'udat Shlishit. Su'udah Shlishit, which means the 3rd meal. Why do we call it Shalosh Shudas? 3 meals, not 3 meals. So says the Rishner, you know why you ate Shabbos night? You were starving after a long Friday. You know why you ate Shabbos day? By the time you got home from shul, you were starving. No one gets excited for Shalosh Shudas. Kids get excited for Shalosh Shudas. No one gets excited for Shalosh Shudas. You're full, you're tired, right? You're not interested in eating already at Shalosh Shudas. So why are you eating at Shalosh Shudas? You know why? Because God asked you to have a meal at Shalosh Shudas. That means retroactively, all the other meals you would have done, even if you weren't hungry, you would have done it because God would have wanted that of you. That means the last meal is Shalosh Shudas. It's 3 meals in one. It's the meal that eclipses the other couple of meals that came beforehand. It's the meal that shows that the other meals were also Lishma. It's that unity. So here we have another pshat. It's called Shalosh Shudas because at the end, it finally all comes together. The Kiddushin, the betrothal at night, the Simcha of during the day, and the Mincha of unity of Ata Echad. Ata Echad. There's a beautiful teaching from Rabbi Nachman of Breslov that it says that God created the world in 6 days and on Shabbos he rested. Rabbi Nachman of Breslov says no. Vayinafash doesn't mean that he rested. You know what Vayinafash means? It means on Shabbos God gave the world a soul. Vayinafash, from nefesh. He gave the world a heart. He gave the world a soul. That's a beautiful teaching from Rabbi Nachman. On Shabbos he gave the world a soul. So what's the first explanation of what is this sanctity or this unique element of Shabbos? The first aspect of the unique element of Shabbos is that Shabbos is the day that we commune, we become connected, we marry, so to speak, we wed the Shechina, and we become close together. In layman's terms, in layman's words, in simple elevator pitch terms, when someone's talking to you and say, so Nu, what's this Shabbos all about? This is the way I would explain Shabbos in terms of this first approach. Shabbos single-handedly creates the family ties and friendships. When a person takes off from work 1 day a week, that day inevitably becomes a day spent with other people. It has a way of enhancing a marriage because now you two finally get to spend time with each other. And is the day you sit in shul and get to spend extra time with God. So that is the first pshat of what is the beauty and what is the uniqueness of Shabbos. Second idea. The Levium, the Levites in the temple, they used to sing a song called Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbos. Why does that song mention Shabbos in it? Why does it mention Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbos? Why does it mention? It wasn't a song that was specifically dedicated for Shabbos, but it's what the Levium would sing in the Beis HaMikdash. So I saw from the Nesivas Shalom, the Slonim Rebbe, he says that the entire week, the Jew goes through all the pain and rigor of trying to make this world go, to trying to make a career happen, to trying to be a success in their own life. When Shabbos comes, the Jew shakes off the shackles of dust, the dust on them, and is exalted to the level of Shabbos. Finally, at that point, a person could appreciate and be present with the world. It's very hard to do that during the week. On Shabbos, you're finally able to realize what you have to thank God about. That's Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbos. You can truly sing your song when the Shabbos is able to come. That's Yom Simchaschem. Shabbos is the day that we're finally able to see the present moment. How beautiful it is. You know, the Medrash teaches us that when Adam was standing outside of court, why? Because Cain killed Abel. So Cain killed Abel, and Cain comes out of court, and Adam Arishon says, so what happened in there? How'd the court case go? And the Medrash says that Cain says, I was acquitted. He goes, you were acquitted? How were you acquitted? What, you killed your brother. What happened in there? Well, he said, I asiti tshuva, I did tshuva, v'nispasharti im koni, and I made a deal with God. I cracked a deal. All of a sudden, the Medrash ends in a very strange line. Adam Arishon turned and said, Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbos. It's a strange Medrash. What does it mean that first of all, what does it mean with tshuva, he cracked a deal? And what does it mean that Adam Arishon began to sing Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbos? There's a famous question, how does prayer work? How does tefillah work? How in the world does tefillah have the ability to change what God deemed you deserve? God deems this is what your lot is in life. This is what you're supposed to get. You'll be a success, you'll be a this, you'll be a that. What are you attempting to do through prayer? Rav Yosef Albo's famous answer in his Sefer HaIkarim, he was a hyper-rationalist, he said you can't change God's will. God's will is resolute. You're changing you. You're making yourself a different person. By the way, if you look at the root of the word tefillah, it comes from pilel, which is a reflexive of self-judgment. You're looking at yourself. You're looking at it, what it is you need to do differently in your life, what you need to do to be a better person, to be a different person in this world. Okay? That's what tefillah is, essentially. So what is tefillah? You're not changing God's mind. You're changing who you are as a person, what you thought were your needs. That's what you're trying to work on. The Din of a Rebbe, the Bnei Yisachar, has a Hasidic twist on that. The Din of a Rebbe, the Bnei Yisachar says, no, you know what you're doing? See, God had an issue with Albert A. By davening, you're converting yourself to Albert B. God still has the issue with Albert A. That will never change. But you have made yourself a different being by doing tshuva. By becoming a different person, you are not Albert B. God has no issue with Albert B. It's a very mystical concept, but again, bring it down to the simple level that we speak on. There's a transformative effect of tshuva. Tshuva has the ability to change who we are, essentially, to become different people. A second chance, another lease on life, to become somebody else. That's Shabbos. That's Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbos. Adam was so blown away that Cain was given the power to start over, to change his life. Mizmor Shir Li Yom Shabbos. You have a whole week. You're so busy. You're running around. Suddenly the second Shabbos comes, bam, 5:38. Everything just stops. Everything comes to a standstill. In that awkward random minute that we somehow arrived at, Shabbos means Shavas. Everything comes to a standstill. It just stops. That's the unique power of Shabbos. Shabbos allows us to just stop and appreciate life, appreciate everything that just is. You know, the rabbis point out a contradiction. It says, Vayera Vayivoker, right? There was evening and there was morning, Yom HaShishi, the sixth day. And then it says that God completed the heaven and earth and everything, and then God completed on the seventh day all the work that he did. Vayechulu Shamayim Haaretz V'chol Tzva'am, right? And then it says that God completed everything on the seventh day. So you have a contradiction. We know that God created the world on 6 days. What does it mean? God finished on the seventh day. He finished in the sixth day. So according to those words, it sounds like God did do something on the seventh day. What did he do on the seventh day if all his work was done on the sixth day? Famous Rashi, world famous Rashi says there was still something missing after God created all his work. You know what was missing? Rest. Rest was missing. On the seventh day, when all of creation was done, that's when rest was created. God finished his work on the seventh day by resting. When God rested on the seventh day, that retroactively meant that the 6 days of work were finished. The fact that God abstained from work on the seventh day, that's what enabled everything to happen during the 6 days to become whole and to be complete, and to become complete. What does that mean? If I have work and I can't stop the work that I'm doing, there's no way I can stop. I am a slave to that work. That work controls me. If I cannot stop it, if I cannot enjoy myself for a moment and turn it off, that's not work, that's slavery. It's only from the fact that God stopped, so to speak, and rested that all of a sudden it meant that the first 6 days was creative work. The first 6 days were creative work. It was not labor, it was not slavery. The moment God rested, it meant looking back, what you did this week was something beautiful, something magnificent. I would say the same is true for our work week. When we work the whole week and we have the ability to just stop on Shabbos, then it lends power to what we do during the week. It makes what we do during the week something significant. You know, for all of human history, life consisted overwhelmingly of work. In effect, humans were beasts of burden. The commandment of Shabbos changed all of that. The commandment of Shabbos insisted that people stop. You are not slaves. That's the idea. When we make a kiddush on a Shabbos night and we affirm that the world was done, we are testifying that the world is a creation. It's meaningful. You understand? Let me say that again. This is the difference. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu mamish cannot stop and has to keep creating every day, then that's not creation. That's not creativity. Creativity, by its very definition, means that you're able to stop the valve and say, I could stop now. Otherwise, it's not creativity. It's slave labor. It's not creativity. It's only because God is able to stop when he rested on the seventh day that which he stopped turned not into just labor, but it was creative labor. Creative labor happened at that day. That was the difference. That was the difference. So the second pshat of what Shabbos is all about. First pshat again, Shabbos is the unity between us and God and the Jewish people. It's a time we can all be with each other. The second pshat is that Shabbos allows us to stop being slaves, to appreciate our life. There's a great poem by the humorist Erma Bombeck. She passed away of cancer, and right before she died, she wrote a poem. You know, by the way, the average American I read leaves college at the age of 22. The average American lives to around 70. So that's 48 years of an adult lifespan, 16 years of work, 5 years are taken up by sleep, 8 years are taken up approximately by TV and surfing the web, 2 years of commuting. That means less than 4 years with family. That's sad. That's less than 4 years with family time. So Erma Bombeck writes the poem, If I Had My Life to Live Over, right before she passed away. I would have talked less and listened more. I would have invited friends over to dinner, even if the carpet was stained or the sofa was faded. I would have eaten the popcorn in the good living room and worried much less about the dirt when someone wanted to light a fire in the fireplace. I would have taken the time to listen to my grandfather ramble about his youth. I would never have insisted the car windows be rolled up on a beautiful summer day because my hair had just been teased and sprayed. I would have burned the pink candle sculpted like a rose before it melted in storage. I would have sat on the lawn with my children and not worried about grass stains. I would have shared more of the responsibilities carried by my husband. I would have gone to bed when I was sick instead of pretending the earth would go into a holding pattern if I weren't there for the day. I would have never have bought anything just because it was practical. I wouldn't show soil or was guaranteed to last a lifetime. Instead of wishing away my 9 months of pregnancy, I'd have cherished every moment and realized that the wonderment growing inside of me was the only chance in life to assist God in a miracle. And when my kids kissed me impetuously, I never would have said later, "Now go get washed up for dinner." There would have been more I love yous, more I'm sorries, but mostly given another shot at life, I would seize every minute, look at it and really see it, live it, and never give it back. She passed away a month later. That's Shabbos. That is mamish what Shabbos is all about. You just stop. Everything comes to a standstill. I want to give a third shot on what Shabbos is all about. There's a Hasidic Rebbe, who we didn't actually quote yet tonight, the Ber Mayim Chaim, Reb Chaim of Chernovitz. Reb Chaim Chernovitz wrote the Sefer Ber Mayim Chaim. That became his name because of his famous Shabbos analogy. What's his Shabbos analogy? Ber Mayim Chaim means a well of living life. You want to connect to Shabbos? You want to appreciate Shabbos? How come some people walk away and like, oh, that was amazing. That was the most beautiful Shabbos. And some people walk away and like, what is that? I couldn't get to work. It got in the way. I wanted to check my email. How come people could look at Shabbos so differently? So the Ber Mayim Chaim says it's all about the well that you dig. Meaning, if somebody's cheap about the pipe system they want to put in their backyard, then you know what? After a while, the water that comes through is going to taste like soil. It's going to taste like the blades of grass that are cutting through the pipe. That's what it's going to taste like, mud. If you take the time to put in beautiful, pristine pipes in a system in your backyard, then the water that comes through is going to taste perfect and pristine. Says the Ber Mayim Chaim, that's Shabbos. You put energy into making sure that this is going to be a great Shabbos. I prepared something. I asked my children to share a Dvar Torah. I worked on something nice to say. I'm going to make sure that I'm calm this Shabbos and it's nice and it's peaceful. Then you see what a Shabbos really is. Then it becomes something precious for you. That's why he's the Be'er Mayim Chaim. Shabbos could be a generator of such simcha to follow, to come forward. But it's all about what you put into it. It says, Vayevarech Elokim et Yom HaShvi Vayekadesh Oso. What does that mean? The Baba Rebbe says, Shabbos is the root of all blessing to your week. I saw the other week, the Stachina Rebbe says, you know what you're supposed to look down at your cup? You're supposed to look down when you make Kiddush at your cup. You look at the candles, and then you look down at your cup. You know why? Because you're asking God that He should bring down bracha into your week. You're asking, your mindset should be when you have your eyes on the wine. The wine symbolizes you partaking of this world. You're asking God that He should lend a little bit of the Kedusha of Shabbos. Let it spill into the world. Let it spill into your week. Let it spill over. That's Vayavarech Elokim es Yom HaShvi Vayekadesh Oso. That God blesses the seventh day and He sanctifies it so that it can spill over into the world. The light of the week begins to shine on that Shabbos, and it's central to Shabbos. That element of it being able to lend a spark, to shine out into the week, comes from the power of Shabbos. There's another pshat of what Shabbos is all about. We said so far, the first pshat in Shabbos is a time when the Jewish people and HaKadosh Baruch Hu unite, right? We said that's the concept of Yichud HaShabbos, Yichud HaShabbos. Then the next idea we talked about, Shabbos is the time where you're able to stop and appreciate life. You're no longer a slave anymore. You could just stop. You could just stop. Being able to stop means the labor that you did during the week was actually creative work. Creative means you're in control of it. Pshat number 3 is that Shabbos is what generates the simcha that's going to follow afterwards. Shabbos is what generates the simcha that's going to come afterwards. Right? V'yavarach Elokim es yom hashvi v'yikadesh oso. And he sanctified it. Shabbos is the root of all bracha, all kedusha. So too happiness. Comes the Be'er Mayim Chaim and said that it's all about what you prepare, what you put into the Shabbos. Let's go into the 4th pshat. We have the concept of Shabbos is me'ein olam haba, is a sample of the world to come. Achar Ha'am once said, more than Israel has kept the Shabbos has kept them. Natan Sharansky said that line was always his inspiration while he was stuck as a refusenik, unable to leave. Those were his words. More than we kept Shabbos kept us. Shabbos is the Olam Haba. It is the experience of Gan Eden. In the Sefer Osios to Rabbi Akiva, it says that Bnei Yisrael said to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, give us an example of the world to come in this world. God said, I have given it to you. It is called Shabbos. The Zohar says that when God drove Adam out of Gan Eden, he kept a part of Adam's soul clipped to remain on the inside. On Shabbos, God releases a piece of that soul and gives it back to Adam, to us, to proverbial human being. We get it back on Shabbos. The Bereishis Rabbah, the Medrash says, "V'anicheu b'Gan Eden la'avdo l'shamrei." He placed them in Gan Eden to work it and to preserve it. We say on Shabbos, "V'yanach b'yom hashvi," and he rests on the 7th day. La'avda, to work for 6 days, u'l'shamra, guarded on the 7th day. That wherever you have your Shabbos, that's the idea. Wherever you have your Shabbos, there is your Gan Eden. You want heaven on earth, it's going to be Shabbos. We talk about how the world to come is going to be the tikkun gamor, the ultimate rectification. Asher bayom hahu yiyeh Hashem echad u'shmo echad. Hashem is going to rule over all of the world, and there'll be none other like Hashem. Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem echad. That's also Shabbos. Shabbos is mamish the tikkun gamor, where the week has come to its completion. There's nothing else to do. That's what it means that Shabbos is me'ein olam haba. Just like olam haba is the world where it's just done. There's nothing else. Come Shabbos, there's no more creative labor. You're finished. There's a zemer from the Arizal. Tzavchin af aksim betelin v'shavisin shavisin v'shavikin misavin derechikin. It's the day, the ancient day, where you sit and just be, where you're experiencing the taste of Gan Eden. That's Yom Simchaschem. That's what it means to be part of a Shabbos. That's what it means to be connected to a Shabbos. Me'ein olam haba. Everybody's looking for a utopia. Everybody wants everything to be perfect. And we twist ourselves like a pretzel to get there. We bend and break in every which way to try to find perfection. We do things to ourselves, thinking that'll be perfection. I told in one of the earlier shiurim, a friend of mine went to his Rebbe, Rav Avram Tzvi Kluger, who we keep quoting, and said, I'm ready to wear your Hasidic clothing. Rav Avram Tzvi Kluger told him, why do you always think the external is going to change who you are? It always starts from the inside. Everybody wants to experience Olam Haba. You want to experience Olam Haba? You come to a Shabbos when you're sitting around the table. That's the beginning sampling of what it means to have a me'ein olam haba. Let's take this one step further. I was thinking about it. When is Shabbos start? Vayi Erev, Vayi Voker. Shabbos starts at sunset, right? We don't know when. We don't know exactly when that is, so we started sunset. That was phase 1. Then we moved it a little earlier. We lacked the precision to know when sunset is, so we moved it to a few minutes earlier, 18 minutes, whatever, depending on the minhag hamakom. Then we added some time onto that, even before the 18 minutes, because of the mitzvah of Tosefes Shabbos. There's a mitzvah to add on to the Kedusha of Shabbos. Then the Gemara in Psachim, 50b, came along and said, The malacha of the week should stop. If you don't need it for Shabbos, it stops at Mincha. So look what's happening here. Shabbos was supposed to start at night. We moved it to sunset. Sunset, not enough. We moved it to a few minutes before because we lack precision. Not enough. We do some minutes before because we don't know how to judge exactly the minute. Then came the Gemara in Pesachim and says you can't even do malacha from midday anymore because it's got to start earlier. Then we have the concept of v'hachinu es asher yaviu, which the Gemaras in Beitza talk about, that you got to start preparing Friday morning. You go pick up the stuff from the laundry, you pick up the challahs, you set up the table, Friday morning. Alrighty, we're down to Friday morning. Then, Kosherika, Shabbos 19a says, Ein mafligin besvina pachas mishloshes yamim. You don't leave for your cruise less than 3 days within Shabbos. So now you're already 3 days within Shabbos. You're further back. Then comes the Gemara in Beitza, Tes Zayin Amid Aleph. Amru alav al Shimon azakein kol yamav haya ochel lekavod Shabbos. Every day he was eating lekavod Shabbos. I eat the cholent on Sunday. I'm getting ready for Shabbos. That's why I eat the cholent on Sunday. No, but that's what Hillel Zaken would eat. Every day he would eat in mind that he's getting ready lekavod Shabbos. So already we pushed it from sunset down the morning, that here, to here, to here. It's already back to Sunday. All right, I was working a shiur around that. Then I realized we can go even further. It begins the Shabbos before. Shabbos already begins the Shabbos before. What does that mean? The Gemara in Shabbos 118b says that if the Jews would just keep 2 Shabbosim, ilu nishmeru shtei Shabbosis, if the Jews would keep 2 Shabboses, we would all be free. Right? What about the Mordechai ben David? Right? The Mordechai ben David, just 1 Shabbos, and we'll all be free. That's a tanchuma. The Gemara says 2 Shabbosis. The song wouldn't have sounded as good. Just 2 Shabboses and we'll all be free. Too much, demanding too much. The Zohar to Yisro also says 1. The Zohar to Yisro says 1. So the Gemara in Shabbos says 2. There's a great Gemara in Shabbos 69b. Rav Huna says, let's say you have a guy who's stuck wandering in the desert. Famous Gemara. There's always a Jew who's wandering Nebuch in the desert. So the guy's in the desert, and the question is, how should he keep Shabbos? Should he count 6 days and then keep Shabbos? That's Rav Huna. Or Rav Chia bar Rav says, no, keep 1 for Shabbos and then count 6. What's the machlokus? It's funny machlokus. Like they flipped a coin, you take after, I'll take before. There's no arbitrary machlokus in Shas. What's the machlokus? Shabbos after creation, meaning after the 6 days, and then there was Shabbos? Or do we look at Shabbos from the vantage point of Shabbos being right before man, when Adam was created? Adam jumped right into Shabbos. You understand? There's 2 Shabbosim. There's the Shabbos that we should look at from the vantage point of the end of creation, 7 days. Then there's the way of looking at it from the beginning of the existence of man, that's right at the beginning. So do you count at the 1 or do you count at the 7? So it could be that the Gemara in Shabbos 118b that says if the Jews would just keep 2 Shabboses, we would all be free. It could be it's referring to those 2 Shabbosim. The Shabbos of before, after the 7 days of creation, and the Shabbos before the creation of man. It's 2 Shabbosim, 2 different ones. It's the same Shabbos, but it's totally different. Let's take this to an even deeper level. There's a Shabbos that comes after all the malacha was done, and there's a Shabbos that comes before there was even a concept of malacha. There was a Shabbos from before the beginning of any creation, when the whole world was at a freeze. And then there's a Shabbos that comes after God does all of the creation. The Shabbos of God's rest is Ubiyom Hashvi Shabbos Vayinafash. That's the obvious one. The other Shabbos, though, that people forget, is that there was rest before there was any creation. What was happening before there was any creation? There was nothing. There was Shabbos. There was stopping. That's the Shvisa Kodem Hamaisa. Beforehand. The Mechilta, you could see this in Rashi, the Shmos Per Kaf, Pasuk Tes. The Mechilta says, Kishetavo Shabbos, when Shabbos comes, when Shabbos comes, it should be in your eyes like all your malacha is done. Shalo tahar achar malacha, like there's nothing else. There's nothing else. How could you see your work as complete? Bottom line, you still have more work. How in the world could you see it all as complete? So the simple pshat. simple pshat, is that you need to view yourself as having nothing left to do when Shabbos begins. You have to view yourself as though you're done. Think about that. This is deep. Think about it. That's the Shabbos that comes after creating. God creates for 6 days and then stops. You have to see it as though you're done. You're doing work in the workforce. You have to see it as though you're finished. But there is a deeper pshat. Maybe it's referring to the Shabbos before creation. There never was any work yet. You go back to a state where everything was Ein Sof. Anything was just HaKadosh Baruch Hu Levado. God was lacking nothing. That's what it means. When it comes to Shabbos, you view it as though there's nothing left to do. One, you could say it's referring to as if. As if, after I worked for 6 days, it's as if there's nothing left to do. It's referring to the Shabbos after creation. Or no, you could say it's the Shabbos from before there was any creating. That's what it's referring to. So now it all ties together. Why did we keep moving the marker back? Shabbos started at nightfall. Shabbos started at sunset. Shabbos started a few minutes before. Shabbos started midday. Shabbos preparations Friday morning. You can't go on the boat 3 days before. Hillel's eating the whole week with Shabbos in mind. And all of a sudden, when does Shabbos begin? Mamish the previous Shabbos. Because there's 2 Shabbosim. There's the Shabbos before Malacha, and there's the Shabbos that exists after Malacha. Where do I see this yesod? The Medrash Rabbah says, Chad b'Shabsa, Trei tlasa arbasa chamisha aruvasa, Shabsa leisla ben zivug. What does this Medrash mean? Medrash says that day 1 is paired. Day 1, sister day, is day 6. That means Sunday and Friday are like best friends. Or whatever that means. Monday and Thursday have so much in common. They're comparable. Day 3 and day 4 are sister days, right? So Chad b'Shabsa trei, Tlasas arbasa, Chamesha arvusa, Shabbasa leisla ben zivug. But Shabbos has no partner. Shabbos is alone. What does that mean, Shabbos is alone? What does that mean? Sunday has the neshama of Shabbos just as Friday has. Monday has the ruach just as Thursday does. Tuesday has the nefesh just as Wednesday does. Medrash ends by giving Jews a partner. What does the end of the Medrash say? What is the partner of Shabbos? The Jewish people. The Jewish people. That's when we come back to our first pshat. And what's the beauty of Shabbos? Shabbos is the time when we connect to God. This pshat is going to resolve this idea that we really have 2 Shabbosim. We've been misconceiving the whole thing. We've gone through life thinking there's only one Shabbos. It's the Shabbos after the 6 days of creation. It's wrong. We each experience 2 Shabbosim in one. We have the Shabbos that's before anything happened in the world, and there's the Shabbos that comes after. This resolves the following. The Gemara in Shabbos 119a says as follows. Likros Shabbos lechuven elcho. Right? To call, to bring in Shabbos, we should go and greet it. Kihi mekor habracha. Because it is the source of all bracha. What's the source of all bracha? Shabbos is the source of all bracha. What's the contradiction? Hold that Gemara. Avodah Zarah daf gimel amid aleph. Mi shetarach be'erev Shabbos, yochal b'Shabbos. Whoever works erev Shabbos, you can celebrate on Shabbos. Meaning, according to the first source, Shabbos is the source of all blessing. According to the second source, it's the weekday which gives way to the Shabbos. Which one is it? Is it Shabbos which gives way to the weekday, or is it the weekday which gives way to Shabbos? It's what we said before. There's 2 Shabbosim. There's the Shabbos of before creation, and there's the Shabbos that happened after creation. The Yalkut Tishmos says as follows. Kol kfeilim b'Shabbos. Everything is doubled on Shabbos. The Omer that's brought is doubled on Shabbos. The Korban is doubled on Shabbos. Violating Shabbos is mot yumat. You shall surely die. The reward for Shabbos is doubled. The warning is Zachor v'Shamor, doubled on Shabbos. Why is it all doubled? It's all doubled because there's 2 Shabbosim. There's the Shabbos before creation, and there's the Shabbos afterwards. The Shabbos before and mamish the Shabbos afterwards. There is both. There is both. Changes the way we look at it. The way we always looked at it was it's the week, it's Chol, Shabbos, then Chol. It's not correct. It's Shabbos, Chol, Shabbos. It's Shabbos, weekday Shabbos. That's the Jewish calendar. If we view the 6 days as preparation for Shabbos, it's not a fair balance. Only one day of Shabbos. And Sunday's only connection to Shabbos is going to be a means to an end. But if you view it as Shabbos, Chol, and Shabbos, then the space in between is the light from the first Shabbos attempting to get you to an even higher Shabbos, to take you to a further and to a much deeper place. That's the idea of Shabbos. Shabbos, Chol, Shabbos. There is two Shabbosim that each of us face. There is the Shabbos that we begin the week with, and there is the Shabbos that we end the week with. That's what it means. If we just keep two Shabbosim, the Geula will come. It's when we learn how to start properly. It's when we learn how to finish properly. You know, there's a contradictions throughout Shas. One hand we say, Hakol holech acher achisum. Everything goes after how you end. And then there's passages which say, Hakol holech acher arosh. Everything goes after the beginning. Which one is it? It's two Shabbosim. It's how you start and it's how you finish. It's how you begin the race and it's what you put in at the end. Those are the two Shabbosim, the two celebrations. It's the Zachar and the Shamor. Every element, it's 2 loaves of challah. Every element. The whole Shabbos is duplicated and doubled, reflecting that element of Shabbos that was there before God created everything. The world was at a standstill. Shabbos. And then there is the rest that God did after creating the entire world. We're getting closer to the end, mamish, of the 18 hours. We're down to 2 shirim left. We just covered a little bit of what Shabbos is all about. Wow, that's a beautiful gift. I want to just announce a special gift from the Hillel Middle School. That's a classic gift. Baruch Hashem, thank you to Rabbi Safran and the Hillel Middle School to contributing to the longestshir.com. Again, you can make your last few contributions. We have 2 more hours to contribute. Longestshir.com. You can dial 41444, and text the word Torah. You can make your donation. You can make your donation that way. We talked about the Kedusha of Shabbos. I want to acknowledge the presence of the Rosh Yeshiva of Goldvicht. My wife and I, we had the opportunity of spending Shabbos by Rav Goldvicht, and you saw what it means, some of these ideas we spoke about. The idea of what it means to sit at a table and to talk Torah and to sing Zmiris. It's a much different Shabbos than many people are used to. So this shir was about Shabbos. Mirz Hashem, we'll spend time together in a couple of minutes. We have 2 more shirim. The next shir is all about Elu ve'elu divrei Elokim Chayim, the nature of machlokas in Judaism, Fight Club. And the last shir is going to be about Kihem Chayenu ve'orech Yamenu. What's the big deal about Torah? Why are we always busy with a book, us Jews? Why do we make that the biggest deal? So I invite you, if you're locally, come on, stop by for the last 2 shirim. If you're not, if you continue to have been watching from wherever you're watching, I thank you for tuning in and appreciate all the support. As I said, the biggest giver over the next 2 hours will win the set of a signed copy of the Igris Moshe. The only one I know in existence, a signed copy of the Igris Moshe. That's going to take place in the next 2 hours. I'll see you soon. Take a break. See you in 5 minutes.